morning. Good morning. Good morning.
To switch it up a little bit from the typical good morning. You know, I don't think my voice was ready for the. No, it's not ready. So, Howdy, everybody. Welcome to a special Mother's Day edition of The Lobby. Great to have you all here.
Yep.
We've got an action-packed show for you this morning. Yeah, there's that. So what we're going to do, because I'd like us to start our morning off laughing a little bit. So what we are going to do is we're going to share some funny mom fail type stories with you guys. And as we do that, we would love for you to drop your name into the comment section, Facebook, YouTube. Let us know that you're here so that we can say hi to you, so that our staff can say hi to you, and so that you can say hi to each other. And then let us know, are you doing anything unique this week? Unique this week or today to celebrate your mom virtually from a distance, or maybe your mom is local and you're still going to be creative in how you celebrate mom today. So throw that in there. Maybe you're going to give somebody a good idea if they're still racking their brain for ideas on what to do for mom. And stay tuned for the lobby after service, and we will give you our own top 5 list on how you can celebrate mom.
And welcome Robert Olive to the group, and then Rachel Afghanapur. She's with us. She's already a mom, but working on even
do the same day as my wife.
Do the exact same day. She's got a baby coming. So
my mom is right here. In case you can't see who is in this picture, that's my mom and Lauren.
And my mom's in Houston. Hi, Mom.
All right, great. So let's get started.
Mom fails.
Some mom fails. Here we go. Number 1. I'm gonna read this as if in the manner in which I feel like they wrote it. Y'all, never, I repeat, never put fruit in the diaper bag for a snack. Your crazy life as a mom is too busy to remember to remove the fruit from the bag. Emoji, emoji, emoji. I don't even know how long it's been in there. I mean, I haven't had to pack the diaper bag for anything in weeks. Hashtag mom fail.
It's a wonderful smell. Diaper bag and old fruit. That'd be nice.
Doubt it.
This comes from the person who wrote this. Scarlett wanted her face painted. But we had no paint, so we used chalk instead. And guess what? You can't get that stuff off now.
Oh gosh!
And that's just staying there for a long time.
Looks like they've rubbed a lot right there to try to get that off. And it's just not working.
And the child probably
one of the typical mom, like lick the finger and come over your face and then you run away. It's the worst. All right, next.
Poor thing.
So I can't cut hair. Clearly, I have made Logan a deal that we would give him a quarter for each like because I feel so bad. I wish we could see how many likes they had. Oh, and the facepalm emoji.
Yeah.
Hashtag mom fail. Yeah, that's rough. Oh, that just looks like she started sneezing in the middle of it, closed her eyes, and just said, here we go. Here we go. Had a sneezing fit. Allergy season.
But here's the deal. Logan will never remember that. Okay, next.
It's on the internet. It'll be there forever.
When applying sunscreen, it's a good reminder, but it was a mom fail. Don't forget your feet, especially if you're wearing sandals with holes in them. My daughter had her Crocs on, and we got sunscreen everywhere but her feet. Polka dot polka is what happened with their mom failed Croc summer, and then Instagram stuff. So yeah, I get that.
Oh man, that means it was on Instagram and there was a picture associated. I wish we had that one. All right, next. We've reached the point in quarantine that this is lunch: powdered donuts and pizza in front of the iPad. This mama has 0 fight left. That is fantastic. Yeah.
I get the mom fail on that, but that is called son win.
That is victory as a child. I am all for powdered donuts and pizza.
The next one has to do with some cooking fails, and you see on the top here that this is what we're trying to make. Looks like some Disney character pancakes. Well, it's pretty safe to say I nailed it, right? So that's the attempt. And there it is.
I don't know who that's Toy Story. I don't know who that's supposed to be.
That's
supposed to be the alien.
Buzz Lightyear, the head, the alien.
Love Toy Story.
And it ends up being amoeba pancakes. Amoeba pancakes.
And severely undercooked. All right, another one food related. Hey, we made cookies. Or cookie.
Just
one. One really large cookie. Mom fail.
Again, mom fail, but kid win.
I mean,
I just had one cookie. I just had one cookie.
Yes. All
right, next, going back to the, hey, you hairstylists out there, we appreciate your sacrifice during this time, but it goes like this. Well, I did it again. Bangs gone wrong. Mom fail. And as a husband, or dad, I don't see the problem. I think it
looks great.
It looks really
That looks
nice.
fine to me.
She's smiling.
Yeah, she looks happy.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm guessing it's this part right there.
Whatever. Semantics. Next, my 12-year-old took a bite of my peppermint patty protein bar. That sounds great. After finishing it, she declared, that counts as brushing my teeth today. How is your quarantine going? Hashtag quarantine life. Hashtag mom fail.
All right, let's go to the
I'm all about that.
Yeah, pet world here. Look at this. Today's
wrong.
art project displays a beautiful shade of blue Sharpie paired with a brindle boxer. Should I give him an A, the question, or is it a big fat F? And I don't know. That is a fail. That's a fail. But again, I'm gonna go with kid fail more than mom fail.
Yeah. All right, next one. I ordered these paint by number kits for the kids and told them it would be a good stress reliever. To which Colt replied, "This is giving me stress." Yeah, paint by number. I mean, he's not doing too well.
No.
Sorry, Colt.
The whole painting in lines thing, staying in lines.
Painting by numbers.
Yeah, it's a stressful thing. Next going on,
Box me in my
a
creativity.
15-year honor student fail here. My 15-year honor student just made his own macaroni and cheese for lunch, but didn't drain the water before adding the butter, milk, and cheese. I feel like a major mom fail. Again, that's really on the kid.
Yeah,
I mean, I hate that
All
for
those
him.
recipes says strain, but
Yeah.
don't rinse. Like, what would that... never mind, that's
Yeah,
not the point.
that's,
Anyway, just always seemed weird to me. Like, what's the matter if you rinse it? Okay, anyway. Professional instant macaroni and cheese guy here. Epic mom fail moment. Walked into the garage to get something super quick. In the short time it took me to grab a box, my almost 2-year-old locked me out of the house. Emoji face. And the deadbolt, no less. Had no clue she could even reach it yet. After much panic, frantically searched all the back doors and windows, trying to get a scared and upset toddler to somehow unlock the slider or the deadbolt. I'm happy to report that we made it back inside. I've never been more thrilled that someone forgot to lock the front door. I know I'm not alone. Anyone else willing to confess their mom fail moments? No,
I'm not either. I'm not
actually.
either.
Thank you for asking, though. I appreciate that.
The accountability is appreciated, but rejected.
But no. Okay, last one. I'm going to read this one quick.
This is from our own church family.
This one's from you guys.
So,
You
listen,
didn't even black out the name. Like, it's right there.
listen to this. Listen to this.
All right, here we go. Story time. You'd have to ask my son for my biggest fail, but this story stands as my biggest embarrassment. Many years ago, when my son was a little guy of maybe 3 or 4, we started him out on a soccer team. It was the cutest little thing watching them learn to play the game. One night, at a parent meeting, the coach told us that he had received a call from a mother saying that her son really wanted to play soccer, but had been denied on another team because he had been born missing his arms. The coach expressed a desire to allow the child to play on our team, but wanted the agreement of other parents before he made the offer. Of course, we all agreed to welcome him to the Squirts. The team name was not my mom fail, but someone else's.
Yes.
You kidding me? That's their team name?
Yeah, this team name.
Wow, I missed reading this the first time. Wow.
That's great.
Anyway, that's awful. Here's what went wrong. On the way to the next practice, I decided to prepare my young son to meet the new player and suggested he be especially kind and friendly so he'd feel welcome to our team. So, when the new player and his mom arrived, I greeted them and was surprised to see the child had upper arms, but the forearms and hands had not developed. I told him my son was so excited to meet him and called my son over to introduce them. My son came running up to us and the introductions were made. I was so proud of how my bright, friendly boy greeted him and said, "Let's go play." Then, he reached for his hand to run to the rest of the team and pulled back. He said, "What happened to your hand?" The new player said, "I was born without them." To which my son seemingly yelled, "Well, that's okay. My mom said there's a kid coming tonight with no arms." And off they ran. And there I stood with his mom feeling very small, but not small enough to crawl into the hole I had dug for myself. Hashtag mom fail.
That's
But the Squirts?
the Squirts.
Like, really? Really? Like,
The Squirt. Well,
anyway.
my nephew was on a
Moving
soccer.
on.
My nephew
Moving
was on a soccer team
Moving
called
on.
the Sparkle Sharks. It was a co-ed team, and they had a vote.
Okay.
And the girls voted Sparkle, and the boys voted Sharks, and so they just in the 2020. Well, never mind. They were the Sparkle Sharks, and they had to wear. So it was great. So
Moving on.
moving on. Moms, thank you for being transparent for this and allowing us to have some fun there. But on this day we appreciate them in so many ways. And that brings us to getting ready for what we're about to embark on with our next worship service. And today we start a new series, a short series called Remember. Over the next 3 weeks, we are going to look into 3 significant weeks just for us as a family. Today is moms. Next week we're going to look at the honoring of our graduates. So we got some really neat things excited planned for next week. And then we got Memorial Day the 3rd week. And in that, Bruce is going to take us through what it looks like to truly take a time to remember what God has done and to see his hand in all that's taken place. And today with moms, we're going to look at this thing called time and what that looks like. And just as a reminder as a dad and to all of our parents, that as we look at our kids and those type of things, a lot of times we accept a lie that our kids, just want quality time. So that's an excuse for not giving them, more time or quantity of time. But our kids want both. But we're going to look at what it means to redeem that time today. And so look forward to you getting to hear that message in just a little bit. But before we do that, we want to show show a video real quick of what it feels like and what it looks like in this very unique season of quarantine to be a mom. So watch this video with us. That is great stuff. And just a reminder that all our moms are having to do things like we all are in a unique way, but to love our kids well and to do those type of things. But today, as we honor our moms, obviously, I hope you recognize this man to my right, our Pastor Bruce. That there he is. But he wants to talk to us about some just unique ways we look at Mother's Day and how we prepare our hearts for what we're about to go into for worship. Bruce,
some of you are really having a great time today, and you're with your folks. And then some of you are looking at this day as a really hard day. And it's a little bit of both. Every time we come to Mother's Day, there are those of us who are just excited. Chris is getting ready to be a dad, and so he has a mom about to be here. Those are really great fun, and a lot of you are having a great time today. And the other side is that many of you, for you, Mother's Day is a harder day. And we want to recognize that. We want to be sensitive to that. This morning I was thinking about what we're going to experience today, and I remembered this family that came forward years ago and asked me to pray for them. They were like so many of the couples that attend our church and that are dear friends of mine, even family. I talked about my own family and how we had several in our family system who struggled with infertility. And so this couple came forward at the end of the service and said, would you please pray for me? This is our last chance. They had tried all kinds of things. And so we prayed for them that next procedure might be successful. And it came back to mind for me this morning because I thought about this little girl that I baptized last fall that was actually the result of those prayers and that process. And it hadn't really hit me until this morning what a great blessing and relief it was to think about that little girl with her mom today, having been baptized this last fall, celebrating Mom's Day, and what she must represent for that family. And so every Mother's Day, we think about both those moms we love and we get to enjoy right now, and those we have to love this side of grief. That's me. That's a lot of people in our church. Just yesterday, a member of our church family lost her mom, and already been corresponding with her this morning about that. So whether this is a day that just is full of the Sparkle Shark experiences,
Amen.
or this is a day where you're hoping that someday you get to have that experience, or you're already grieving the loss because that time has come and gone with your own mom. We hope that this will be a day where you'll be encouraged, and that this message that we're about to present really does help you figure out, how do you honor in all of life, how do you honor all your relationships, and how can you take advantage of the day you do have. So I hope this is going to be a helpful day for you. I know it's been a strange weekend for me. I did a funeral yesterday, and literally I lost it in the middle of it. It's Mother's Day, similar circumstances. Kelly asked about that. I said, it was so close to home. It was like reliving that. And so for some of you, it's going to be like that. And for others of you, you're going to have so much fun celebrating that day. So whichever extreme that finds you on, we wish you a happy Mother's Day and hope this is a day that God meets you right where you are.
Great. Thanks, Pastor. And congratulations on to your family.
Oh, yeah.
Welcoming a new granddaughter. Finally got the girl gene going through the home. So congrats on that. She is absolutely gorgeous, and thrilled for you and your kids.
I agree.
We are going to enter now into our time of worship, and we appreciate all of our worship and tech teams, as they have done so much to bring these experiences to us. So at this point, we'll do that. When we're done, come back with us, and we're going to give you, especially dads, if you've waited too long, we've got some suggestions for you on how to honor your mom. So come back with us at the lobby afterwards. We're so glad that you're here today. Now let's worship together.
I will sing forever of your love. Come down with my hands to heaven, shout your praises loud. I was lost in darkness when you pulled me out. I will sing forever of your love. Come down. I once was blind, I could
sing it because we have joy in our hearts because of what Jesus Christ has done for us. Come on. Though the tears may fall, my song will rise to you. Though my heart may fail, my song will rise to you. While there's breath in my lungs, I will praise you, Lord. In the dead of night, I lift my eyes to you. When the waters rise, I lift my eyes to you. While there's hope in this heart, I will praise you, Lord. Come on, sing the joy. The joy of the Lord is my strength. The joy of the Lord is my strength. In the darkness I'll dance, in the shadows I'll sing. The joy of the Lord is my strength. Can I see you with my eyes like faith arise to you? When I cannot feel your hand in mine, faith arise to you. God of mercy and love, I will praise you, Lord. Oh, you shine with glory, Lord of light. I feel alive with you. In your presence now I come alive, am alive with you. There is strength when I say, I will praise you, Lord. Come on, sing the joy. The joy of the Lord is my strength. The joy of the Lord is my strength. In the darkness I'll dance, in the shadows I'll sing. The joy of the Lord is my strength. Come on, sing it again. The joy of the Lord is my strength. The joy of the Lord is my strength. In the darkness I'll dance, in the shadows I'll sing. The joy of the Lord is my strength. Come on, let's put our hands together. Sing with sorrow. When sorrow comes my way, you are a shield around me. Always you remain like courage in the fight. I hear you call my name. Jesus, I am coming, walking on the waves, reaching for your light. The joy of the Lord is my strength. The joy of the Lord is my strength. In the darkness I'll dance, in the shadows I'll sing. The joy of the Lord is my strength. Come on! The joy of the Lord is my strength. The joy of the Lord is my strength. In the darkness I'll dance, in the shadows I'll sing. The joy of the Lord is my strength. Amen. So we introduced this song last week, and it talks about how whatever we're going through, we know that God's movement continues, it never stops, and so we believe, and we say this boldly, that God is up to something good, even in the midst of what we're going through today. Come on, let's lift up our voices. When I'm in the roughest waters, I won't go under, I won't drown. And when I'm in over my head, I know that you won't let me down. And when I'm broken and down to nothing, come on, declare this out. And I know that you are always up to something good. I know that don't you do us a favor? Give us a virtual shout out. Let us know who's watching. We're so glad you're here. Come on.
Let's keep singing together this morning. Sing worthy of every song we could ever sing. Worthy of every song we could ever sing. Worthy of all the praise we could ever bring. And worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. And holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Worthy of every song we could ever sing. Worthy of all the praise we could ever bring. You're worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Sing Jesus. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. You're worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Sing holy and holy. There is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. And holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Let's proclaim this together this morning in our homes. And I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation, and I will put my trust in you alone, and I will
Let's take some time in prayer together.
You are shared. We will not be shaken. Sing, I will build my life. And I will build my life upon your love. It is the firm foundation. And I will put my trust in you alone. And I will not sing that again. I will build my life. And I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. And I will put my trust in you alone. And I will not sing holy and holy. There is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. And holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. And I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation, and I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken.
Kelly and I were walking in the neighborhood just the other day, and we were talking about her mom. She had just returned from a conversation about an hour long where she was talking through the screen of the window at her assisted living place. And they had been having conversations about her childhood. And so she asked me a question. She said, what are your favorite memories or favorite stories of your mom from her childhood? And I have to be honest, I went blank. I mean, I knew my mom was a little girl at one point. I know she had her childhood during the Great Depression and World War II. I spent a lot of time on the little farm that was their home for decades. But as I was thinking about it, I just could not recall a lot of stories about her childhood. And I started to think about that. Kelly had just had an hour where she gleaned all these stories. Well, my mom's been gone for 17 years. And so before that, I think I was so busy trying to finish school and start a career and start a family and doing all those things that are not good excuses, but they were things I chose instead of asking my mom those questions. And here it is 17 years later, I'm much older. I'm at a place where my curiosity is piqued, where my kids are at a place where I could hand those to them. But it really came to grips to me that time had come and gone. And a principle of truth settled in my heart that day that I wanted to share with you. And that is this: there is no adequate substitute for time. You'll never find something else that qualifies as a substitute for time. These last 2 months have taught us that we've been using our time so differently as we have wrestled with a new setting, a new context, and a new set of circumstances in these times. And we've learned it takes time to educate kids. It takes time to get all the shopping done and to cook. It takes time to allow viruses to grow and for vaccines to be developed. It takes time to do the things that used to be so squished, but now must all be done by each of us. It takes time, and there's no substitute for that. So today I want to look at that from a very different perspective. It's obviously Mother's Day. And if there's one gift we need to celebrate and we need to seize while we have it, it's the time. And there's something in the Hebrew scriptures that talks about that extremely well. And I'd like for you to read that with me today. If you have your Bibles at home, I'd like for you to take the time to turn to Ecclesiastes. It's right after the Proverbs. And I will tell you that it's a unique kind of book. Here's a little background. Ecclesiastes is written by someone who is obviously knowledgeable, trained, successful, wealthy, has had a lot of power at his fingertips. And so for many, many years, scholars have pointed to Solomon as the likely writer of this. We don't know because he never identifies himself as anything more than the assembly or the teacher. But what we do know is it's full of observations of life, and sometimes rather cynical. Sometimes you see this obvious meaning coming out that he's tried a little bit of everything and found so many things have actually lost their meaning for him. But as you start chapter 3, there is this beautiful Hebrew poem that really captures our attention. And I'm going to bet that many of you are going to recognize it. You just didn't know where it came from. And so read this with me today because it has everything to do with our lives and the gift of time. Ecclesiastes 3:1 starts this way. For everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven. And then it gets specific. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to cry and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to turn away, a time to search and a time to quit searching, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear, a time to mend, a time to be quiet and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. For everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven. Over these last few months, we've spent a lot of time on the phone, online. In fact, we had a person who brought to our attention the question, where is the church during this time? And I had to think back what's happened over the last 7 to 8 weeks. Our group leaders have been on the phone. They've been assembling Zoom meetings. Our staff has been on the phone trying to make contact. Our deacons, ministry leaders, all across the board, our church has been scattered and connecting away from the building or away from our campus. And during that time, there have been a lot of great conversations to be had. And it's interesting because this may seem like a plug, but it is the reality for any large church. We gather in the room where I am was really empty, but usually we gather here and we're surrounded by people, many of whom we don't know. And we're often urging you to get into some kind of group experience. We believe that's the church within a church. And I don't know how you live as a disciple without that community, that close, more intimate community. And so if there's ever been a time when I could make a plug for group life, it'd be now, because those who are involved in our Sunday groups, or our support groups, our Wednesday groups, even our midweek groups that meet in all kinds of homes throughout the year, they're connecting with each other. And if for some reason we've missed you, that was not by intent. We have worked really, really hard to make contact with people who weren't in a group. This may be one of the greatest operational motivations for you to try a group when we are able to gather again. So it's interesting. In all these conversations we've had, there have been some extremes in those responses we've had as we've talked to each other, as we've checked on each other. Some have said to us, I can't work, educate my kids, and manage a household all at the same time. I've heard that a lot, and many of you who have taken on the role of teaching your kids have felt that. I've heard some who've said, I can't take this isolation and boredom. Some of you are in that camp. You have been through these last few weeks and you're going stir crazy. But then I've also had a chance to hear this frequently. Bruce, I can't believe how good this has been for our family to reconnect and have all this time together. So on some days, as I had those conversations, I thought, it's really hard for those who are alone. Then I talked to somebody else, I talked to another person, and I think to myself, this is especially hard on those with school-age kids because you're trying to do the education thing on top of a career. But then I talked to the mother of a preschooler, and I realized that those walls get really, really close, and I start to think this is especially hard for those of you who are trying to juggle preschoolers on top of everything else. And the point of this is this. It's just hard. This is not our natural mode. We're not accustomed to limiting what we do. We're not accustomed to these strange boundaries. They are foreign to us, and most of us are really glad they're foreign to us. It's hard to have that limit of space. It's hard to have the juggling of all those different roles in the same time. Even my life, as my wife is a teacher and she took over my home office, I have been in our church office building alone almost every day, absolutely alone. It's just hard. But one resource that we all share, that we all possess, the one thing is time. And I ask you today, how are you redeeming it? See, the writer of Hebrews tells us there is a season for everything, that there's a time for every good thing under heaven, every activity. This has been a season, you might say, of shocking change. It's been a season of doing what is not natural and certainly not comfortable. It's been a season for rather challenging choices. It's been a season where many of us have dealt with fears from everyone else, sometimes from ourselves. And even in the last week or two, for some, it's been a season of incredible loss. People we loved, jobs that were our security, normalcy that made life function. It's been a season of that too. Are you thankful or are you resentful? So I started doing some research this week to look at all the great minds who had dealt with the concept of time. The writer of Ecclesiastes does that probably a few centuries before Christ was born. I look back, and there are some statements that have been made by leaders and by great writers throughout the centuries that sound like they could have been made yesterday. For instance, 300 years before Jesus was born, a Greek philosopher named Theophrastus made this statement. He said, "Time is the most valuable thing a man can spend. Waste of time is the most extravagant and costly of all expenses." I mean, that sounds like it could have been said yesterday. In the last century, when I was coming of age as a leader and doing all my research and growing in leadership, Stephen Covey was a person who had a great deal of influence on me, especially about managing my life and personal discipline. Listen to what he said. "The key is not spending time, but investing it." But as much as those matter to me, I think back to a 19th century writer, especially when it comes to parenting, who has an enormous influence on how I think. She was one of the early realists in children's literature. She became a great influence on the development and evolution of the European concept called a novel. That whole literary device was influenced by her. But she said something that I want you to hear today, especially in light of Mother's Day. She said this, Maria Edgeworth said, "If we take care of the moments, the years take care of themselves." If we take care of the moments, the years take care of themselves. Now, have you ever given much thought or research to what happens in a moment, in a single minute on planet Earth? The Atlantic ran a story that was written by Robinson Meyer, and it was called What Happens in 1 Minute Around the World. And so he did his research, and he offered this. In 1 minute on planet Earth, this is what happens. This is, by the way, pre-coronavirus. But he says 25 Americans will get a passport every minute. 58 airplanes will take off around the world every minute. 116 people will get married. 144 will move into a new home. Over 11,000 packages will be delivered somewhere by UPS every minute. 243,000 photos will be uploaded to Facebook every minute. 5.4 million pounds of garbage will be generated by people every minute. And 7.6 billion human hearts will beat over 494 billion times, all in the time it takes to look someone in the eyes and say, "I love you. You mean the world to me." It's the moments. You take care of the moments, and the years take care of themselves. And so I started thinking back. At my age, looking back on my mom, who's now been gone a long time, thinking about the moments that mattered, the moments she created that actually took care of the years. And I think back to my childhood and the moments she gave me when she taught me to love reading. She would gather my sister and me onto her lap, pull out a book, and she would read dramatically, wonderfully. She gave us a love for reading. And I have to tell you, when I got into high school, we made a move to a new town. And without warning, I discovered that my mom, the one who taught me to love reading, was going to become my English teacher for 2 years. And I learned to love A Tale of Two Cities because Madame Defarge lived in my house. Her papers bled with red ink, and she could tell a story and help us appreciate stories so much. She created those moments, starting in childhood, moments that we try to duplicate with our sons as well. I think about the moments that I had every night of high school when I came in from a date. My dad and my sister were already long gone asleep, but when I came in just at the minute my curfew expired, there would be a woman sitting in her chair. My mom would be there. And you know, when that started, I thought it was because she didn't trust me. Well, she probably didn't. I thought it was because she wanted to smell my breath, which she probably did. But the main thing was she was interested in my heart And like any teenager, there were times when I came in from those dates and my heart was rather broken. And my mom was curious. She wanted to be a part of my life. And I look back now on those moments she created when she reminded me of certain things, when she encouraged me. Those are moments that made a difference. But none of those can compare to the moments when my mom would pull me aside and tell me both frequently and forcefully that she loved me. You take care of the moments, and the years tend to take care of themselves. Now, what's the point of all this? I mean, seriously, this is Mother's Day. What is the real point of this? Well, we tend to feel like we're slaves of time, as if time itself bosses us around. All the priorities that we have, we feel sometimes like victims. We don't have enough time. We are enslaved by time, the confines. But the reality is that every human being since the creation has had 24 hours every single day, 365 days every year. Time has not changed. Our world, yes, has changed. Our choices have changed. Our culture has changed. But every single day, we have a choice on how we invest it. And for that reason, I think Covey was right. There was a time when I was a night owl. I loved to stay up late. It came from my college days. And that came screeching to a halt when our first child was born. He would get up at midnight or 2 o'clock, but his most frequent and consistent timing was at 4:30. He was waking up for feeding time, and Kelly had already been up a couple of times. I had been up, but that became my time. I was a student at the time, and so I made a choice. I didn't want to miss my family time. I couldn't miss work. I had to get this done. And so I became a morning person and chose to invest those hours. I always told people I earned my doctorate between 4:30 and 7:30 in the morning. That's when I studied. I would get David up, put a bottle on this side, put a book on the chair here, rock and read through the morning. It wasn't that time had changed. I had to make choices. You have to make choices with that. And nothing qualifies as a good substitute for time. See, today we live in a culture where we will be told that quality matters more than quantity, as if they're divided. And friends, it's simply not true. You can't have quality without enough quantity. It's both. And so if you're trying to manage through this time, if you're trying to manage your life, moms, if you're trying to manage your life, dads, students, whatever age you're at, what you choose to do, how you invest that time is everything. And there are those teachable, wonderful moments that come. And sometimes we're not smart enough to see them when they happen, but we have to seize them by choice and discipline, even when we can't understand how important they are. Ecclesiastes tells us everything has a time. Everything has a season for every activity. We feel pinched because we're trying to choose so many things. And maybe one of the great lessons of this whole time in our history is we have learned that some things have disappeared, and some of those have been very, very painful. And some of those things have been healthy losses for us. For every one of you moms and dads who have had to juggle a new life, you deserve praise and honor. For every one of you who have looked at how you're investing life and you've had to reorganize everything, you've had to learn a new skill set for multitasking, and you've done that with grace. This is a day, especially for you moms, when you do deserve honor. For all those days where you showed affection and attention, where you gave those moments, you certainly deserve honor. But make no mistake, friends, your choice of investing time in your kids is the greatest commodity of love that you have for them. And they know it. They see when you're too busy for them. They see when you stop what you're doing to be a part of their lives. Your time is going to be invested for the rest of your life in building up and encouraging and listening and disciplining and all those things that go with it. And those of you who are too young yet to be in that day, it will come. And those of you who are long past, you look back and you know that that's the story of your history. Talked to a young mom not too long ago, and she was talking about how she and her husband had to operate in the same space, trying to do two different careers. They have preschool children and one that's in school, and they're trying to juggle getting that education done while also trying to take care of a preschool because all of their childcare options are gone. Listening to her talk about all the things that were on her tray, and in spite of all that, trying to hold on to a relationship with God and hold on to a grip with sanity, I realized this has been a challenging, hard time. And if you have been doing that, moms, and trying to give to your families out of that abundant desire to meet their need, today is a day when we have a challenge for all of us who are around you. And it comes from the writer of Proverbs, the very last couple of verses of the whole book. It says this: reward her for all that she has done. Let her deeds publicly declare her praise. There's a time for everything. And every year on this day, we set aside time because it is a time for remembering and honoring. Now, so for all of you who are sons and daughters, regardless of your age, if you're still lucky enough to have a mom that's living, there's going to be a challenge for you. But for you who are moms today, specifically for you, I beg you to seize the moments you have and to depend on grace for the fact that you are human. I think most moms feel like they're supposed to be superhuman. You have a time for everything, but it comes at a cost. And I want you to know that every single time you are making that kind of sacrifice, every time you are giving of yourself to your family, you're giving them an enormous legacy. And many of them will not recognize it in the moment. But it's worthy of honor. And we will do our best today to praise God for you and to walk with you, to give you the honor you deserve. But you need to give yourself grace because you are only human. You're not Supermom. And for all of you who've tried to be and found yourself limited, I welcome you to reality and want you to know God has given great grace, and He loves you, and He takes pleasure in how you have loved so well. The second challenge, though, is for all of you who are sons and daughters. And hear this from a man who is 17 years too late to recognize this for myself. Today, will you seize the moments today to ask your mom to hear stories from your mom about your mom? Will you ask her to retell things that happened in her childhood? Will you allow her to share some of her history? Will you become today intentionally curious about that so you can hear what it was like? Because I have to tell you, today I'm at a place where I would love to give that legacy to my own kids. I'd love to be able to pass that on. And that time for me has come and gone. I can't go back and get those stories. I can't ask, but how I wish I could. If your mom is living, you do have that chance. Take advantage of it while you can. Seize that day, because two things will happen. One, it will grow your heart to hear about your mom. Like I wish I could ask my mom, how did you launch us from the nest and keep your sanity? How did you make those tough choices? You will have a chance to get an incredible legacy. But the second thing will happen, because you care to hear her story, she will be honored and she'll feel it. For her kids to be interested in her is a huge blessing. Take the time. By the way, That time, you don't have tomorrow. You don't have next year. You don't have any promises. This week already, we have a couple of families in our church who are grieving the loss of their moms. But you have today. Don't waste it. Invest it wisely by giving her the honor she deserves, asking her to share her stories, and find a way to record them in your hearts, maybe on paper, so you can pass them on as a part of the legacy of your life. The writer of Ecclesiastes really is telling the truth. For everything, there is a season. There's a time for every activity under heaven. But you have to choose it. And I hope today you'll seize this day, that you'll savor it, you'll make good use of it, and that you'll honor the women who loved you so well with it. That's my prayer for you. Would you pray with me today? Father, I thank you for the legacy that I carry in my heart because of a woman who loved me well, who gave of her time and attention. I look back on my mom, my grandparents, and think about all that they did to instill certain values and experiences in my life. And Lord, I know that we set aside this day in our culture to honor moms. And I'd ask you to help us create a pattern. So we don't save it up for just one day, but that we remember to honor those moms in our lives while we have that opportunity. Because just as the writer of Ecclesiastes said, there is a time to be born, a time to live. And until you come back for us, there will be a time to die as well. And so I ask today that you would comfort every man and woman who's already had to face that with their moms, for whom today is a grieving moment, for those women who have struggled to have children as they grieve this day of wishful thinking. But God, I ask you also to equip us who have moms available to us, that you'd give us an insatiable curiosity so that we could honor them well today, hear their stories, and be prepared both to celebrate them now and to pass them on to our families in the days ahead. For that, we ask your strength and your discipline and your grace. We ask that in Jesus' name. Amen. I'm so glad you joined us today online for Mother's Day. I hope you have a great day. You may have some things going on in your heart. You may have heard some things I said today, and you're wondering, how do I put that into practice? Are there some good resources for that? I started parenting as a klutz. I had no clue what to do, and there were some really great resources that people passed on to me that might be helpful. And so if you're in that parenting role and you're trying to figure it out, we'd love to help you. You'll see on the screen a number where you can text. Our staff will be monitoring that. It's also a place where you can make a phone call. I'll be on that phone line this morning. Be glad to take your call. We have groups and things that appear throughout the year to try and help you be a parent, be a good son and daughter, all those things we'd like to help you with if you'll give us that chance. I know as this time has gone on, more and more people are finding out about changes in their employment, changes in their compensation, and you may be aware of people who are going through great need. And if we can help in some way, use that phone number, that text number to start with us, to let us know how we can join up and help people in need. That would be our great desire. I hope you'll take advantage of that and all the other resources you're going to find on our website. I hope you also stick around today because the lobby will be going on in just a few minutes, and there may be some things that they cover about announcements coming that you need to hear about. But for you who are celebrating Mother's Day today, I wish you the best as you savor all those good memories and as you seek out stories you probably haven't heard yet. Make her day. She'll love telling you about them. Have a great time. I look forward to seeing you next time. God bless you.
And there's our pastor.
Welcome back into the lobby. What a fantastic service. I have a few thoughts to offer before we get to what really you're all waiting for, and that's our top 5 how to still celebrate your mother during quarantine. So
Yes.
stick around for that in case you still need ideas, which is the only reason you would most likely be on this live stream still. So, not really. He's fantastic. Anyway, just some thoughts on the service, some practical things that we need to think about, some practical questions that I have for you guys. So one of the phrases that Bruce mentioned a few times, and one that I want to make sure that it is not missed, is this idea of redeeming our time. I think that's a fantastic way to shape and to wrap our mind around what Bruce was talking about, redeeming our time. So what does this look like for you practically is really the first thought that we have to consider. And I love some of the things I've seen online with people redeeming their time during this quarantine, where people are rediscovering the fantastic dinner at the kitchen table, not in the living room, and actually removing all technology and all distractions and having conversations with your face to somebody else's face. Like it's a lost art that people seem to have rediscovered and have actually enjoyed very much. I know Lauren and I have done that. Or just the joy of going on a walk, right? The simple pleasures of just spending time together with somebody else, redeeming their time. So the question that we have to think about first is, what are you going to do this week, maybe today, but I'll make it a little more broad, this week, to redeem some of your time? And one of the best ideas from our service this morning was this idea that the key is not spending time, but investing your time. We're not trying to find better ways to spend our time, because it is such a valuable resource that is truly something you can't get back. So how are you going to invest it for the greatest impact so that you can have the greatest value from your investment, really? And so one of the things that we share in student ministry a lot is we invest our time in the two things that will last for eternity, and that's the words of God and the souls of people. So what are you doing to invest your time in the things that will last for eternity? Maybe a different way for you to think about this one. But I remember a few years ago, there were a few celebrities that passed in a relatively short amount of time. And I just remember seeing on all of the news channels, they were sports celebrities more or less, but so on ESPN and on all my social media feeds, I just saw all these people telling stories, or here's what I wish I could have said to them, or here's the impact that you made in my life. And I couldn't help but take a step back and think, okay, did anybody ever take the time to actually share those things with those individuals, right? Why do we speak well of people? Why do we speak life and tell people how much they mean to us whenever they can't be there to receive it, right? And I'm just assuming that nobody shared these things with them. It may have happened, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that probably isn't the case. And so that question of, well, what is it today you can do to redeem your time through your words? And I think that's just maybe something we need to consider.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest reasons we don't is I think we have this initiated pause in our heart, because we want to say the perfect words. We want that hallmark moment, either a card or whatever, and we want to formulate the right words. And until we do, we don't say something, or we're waiting for that right moment when the stars are aligned and the birds are singing, and then I want to, versus just going, I need to tell the people I love how much I love them, how much they mean to me, and not being the most crafted words at the right time, but there's never the wrong time to tell someone how much they mean to you, to tell someone how much you love them. And so to lean into that. And so just to reject the lie of, I've got to say the right words at the right time. You know what? If you're going to encourage someone, tell them you love them, that will always be received bigger than you ever imagined, because our hearts are wired to receive that in a beautiful way.
Yeah, that's good. So that brings to mind one of the things that Bruce said, like nothing substitutes, or nothing qualifies as a good substitute for time. Nothing good qualifies as a good substitute for time. Did I say that right? Nothing qualifies as a good substitute for time. Yeah, there we go.
Sorry.
That's the one. We'll go with that one. The third time I got it right. Nothing qualifies as a good substitute for time. So the questions that we have to consider are the two groups of people, one for moms, one for kids, just something practical to leave you with as a result of our lesson today. So for moms, how can you redeem an ordinary moment this morning, this afternoon? Maybe we'll give you this week. We'll give you a little bit of grace in this one. So what can you do to redeem an ordinary moment this week? So remember, the goal is to invest your time, not just to spend it better, right? So there you go. That's for moms. No clarifications needed. Y'all are way smarter than I am. Kids, here we go. This one's for you guys, all right? hope you listened closely to Bruce's message because it was fantastic, and you can use a lot of the things in here very practically. So kids, what is a question or a story you'd like to ask your mom about, right? So for me, I'm probably going to ask my mom during lunch today. I'll give you an example from me. I'm going to ask her to tell me a story about growing up in South Oak Cliff. Now, your mom probably didn't grow up in South Oak Cliff, but just tell me about growing up in your hometown. What was that like? Tell me one of your favorite memories of that. Maybe you could ask them, tell me about growing up with, my mom had a brother, and so tell me one of your favorite memories with you and your brother. Or tell me about your first job. Things like that. Just things you probably haven't ever heard about. Maybe that's a good question for you to ask from your mom. But just be intentional. Don't wait, like Kevin said, until you have the hallmark moment where everything looks right and the birds are singing, and the Disney moment, a happily ever after type experience. Just say the words that you want to say to your mom, and don't waste that time, but choose to invest it instead. So I'd like to move just very briefly before we give you our top 5 list. Just that idea. How are you planning on celebrating your mom or a mom today? So Kevin, did you have any sort of traditions that you would have with mom on Mother's Day?
Well, our tradition is pretty straightforward for going to church. We'd go to church on a Sunday, Sunday school church. Then we'd go to lunch. I can't remember if we asked mom what she wanted or if we demanded our way. I really don't remember, but I hope that we asked her. We went to her favorite place, but we would go to lunch. And then we would, if we made something in Sunday school, the greatest artwork in the world for our mom, she would respond as beautifully as possible to what we created. But a handprint and a Bible verse, that nothing says more that I love you, Mom, than that.
Obligated to put it on the refrigerator.
Yes, and possibly a half bottle of glitter to go with that. And so, but we would do that. And so that would be our Mother's Day. For now, as we've gotten older, it's going to be a FaceTime call or with the girls and I, and Michelle, and talking to my mom down in Houston. And we're actually honored this year to have Michelle's mom is with us during this time, so we'll be able to see her in person as well.
That's good. And my mom and I, shout out to the single moms, only child, so I'm a mama's boy. It was just me and her, and so we would always, Mexican food, staple, chips and salsa, and then didn't really matter what else, enchiladas or quesadillas or fajitas, and that's what we're having today, so I'm excited about that. One tradition that we have that we're not going to be able to continue this year is a Mother's Day Ranger game. So that was always, we growing up would go to opening day as many years as possible. And when I went to college, opening day was right in the middle of the first week or second week of school. And so we couldn't do that anymore. So we shifted it over to Mother's Day. And so for the last 6, 7, 8 years, something around there, we would always go to Mother's Day game, typically an afternoon Sunday game, stinking hot outside, and so we'd sit in the shade, and it was fantastic, and I loved it, and I just love spending the day at the ballpark with my mom. So maybe we'll watch a recorded game or something like that. They're replaying all the World Series seasons on Fox Sports Southwest, so maybe we'll do that while we watch lunch or while we eat lunch. So
sure.
I
was just going to say, I love Tracy Lee put in the comments there. She got to spend some time with her son and family yesterday, and so that's just awesome. And especially we just cherish those times more and more and more. So thanks for sharing that, Tracy Lee.
Yeah. So, all right, the moment you've all been waiting for. If you're still here, that means you're looking for ideas on what to do for mom during quarantine. So of these,
or they're waiting for us to say something that will end our career here at FBC. That could happen as well.
Speak for yourself.
Okay, looking for.
So, top 5 list on things you can do to celebrate mom this quarantine Mother's Day season. All right. So, number 1 isn't really even on the. There's just one that should be obvious to all of you. Pick up your phone, call her. Right. That one's not even a creative one, but it's necessary. Do it. Pick up the phone, call, FaceTime, do something. A Zoom call where everybody's together, a group FaceTime call, do something like that. Get all the family together, do a little Zoom FaceTime call. Lauren's parents live in Louisiana, so we're going to do a little Zoom or group FaceTime. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to all chat this evening and be able to say Happy Mother's Day. So do that. Okay.
And Lauren's mom was with us, and so she's able to, I'm not sure she's still with us.
Hey, Janine. All right, so number 1 on our real list of top 5 ways for you to celebrate mom. Number 1, get your food, get your Mother's Day gift, something like that from a local business. This accomplishes two purposes, support some local business and still be able to celebrate mom. So if she's local, pick up food from a place here in town, or if you're going to get her a gift, get her some jewelry, go to a local jewelry store, local flower shop, something like that, and love on mom that way.
Yeah, that's just, I mean, we keep seeing that all over the place, but that's so important as we support our neighbors more than other stores that, that are still great stores. They need business as well, but I love the local aspect of that suggestion.
So do that. Number 2, a Netflix party. Now, I don't know if you can do this.
party?
I know! We did this with student ministry, and so we worked out the kinks for you. You can only do this through Google Chrome. You can't do this just through like the app on your Roku or whatever. So Google Chrome, Netflix party. What you can do is you can host a watch party, and you can watch a movie at the same time with siblings, with mom, with dad, with the whole family, whatever. Watch it at the same time. You can comment on it or whatever. So watch a movie that's probably like Kevin whenever he would go to lunch. Try to find mom's favorite, not your favorite, but whatever. Just watch a movie. They'll enjoy the quality time, whatever that means in this season. All right. Number 3, make a donation in her name. Right?
I love that one.
I do too. So maybe there's something where mom doesn't really need anything. She's not really a big flower person. She's allergic to them or whatever. Not a fan of the gift part. So make a donation in her name. Maybe a cause that she's particularly fond of or interested in, or locally here, maybe to Manna House or something of that nature. World Vision is a great place to go if you need some ideas on ways that you can do some church or some matching donations, and they go worldwide to a variety of different causes.
Things we've done in the past along those lines are the Gideons, who place Bibles all over the world. And you talk about one of the things that's eternal is God's Word.
That's good.
You can go to the Gideon website, and you can do stuff in honor of your mom. You can even do that today, so that's a good one.
I like that. Number 4, donate or decorate. Don't donate. I already did that one. Decorate her front. That'd be weird to donate her front door. Decorate her front door. You could make a wreath or get a potted plant or something like that, and just decorate outside of her house. The quarantine, don't go inside, safety, distance, all that stuff. So maybe just go outside, decorate the front door. Good way to love on mom.
Yeah, because again, if possible, your presence, even though it's in the front yard, would mean a ton.
Yeah.
So I think, and the extra step of creativity would mean a lot. It's almost as nice as that handprint, the glitter, and a Bible verse. Almost.
There you go. Last one we have is you could get some chalk, get the creative mind going, and just chalk up her driveway. Yeah, maybe write a nice note. A nice picture, a heart, I love mom, right? Smiley faces, things of that nature, stuff that makes her happy. I'm not very artistic, so that would not be honoring or welcoming to my mother. But Lauren would be fantastic at that for my mom. Maybe that's a good idea. Even though I just shared it with everybody, it wouldn't be a surprise anymore. Oh well. Anyway, you could decorate the driveway, chalk it up. That kind of goes with, maybe you could do that and decorate the front door. Just have her walk out to a nice surprise.
And if you're not that creative, words mean a lot. Like
Words
we
do
already
mean a
talked
lot.
about.
We've
Just
already
reasons I
gone
love
there.
my mom, and you can just write those things out there, and the whole neighborhood will see what a great mom lives in their neighborhood.
That's right. Well, there you go. There's your top 5 and a bonus. At the very least, call, FaceTime, Zoom. There's all the platforms out there for you to be able to see your mom, even if it's through a screen. Make sure you do that today.
And also, just last thing, and we'll let you sign off, is if not your mom, a mom. To honor a mom in your life, somebody that's there that you think, especially if the Lord were to put a name and a face on your heart, reach out to them today in a very special way. I think that would mean a lot. And so,
Yeah,
you can remember
love
that.
it. Love it. So, happy Mother's Day. Thanks for joining us this morning. Be a good neighbor. Check on somebody today, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining us.